Welcome to another video on the channel. My name is Chris, the MLS card guy, and I am back after having successfully completed my move. And I am back from the National Sports Collectors Convention as well this past weekend in Chicago. Unbelievable time there to be hanging out with everybody. Got to meet some really cool people. And I kind of got the feeling that a lot of people don't know a whole lot about Sorare. A lot of people starting to get into it. So I'm actually going to announce something very cool that I'm very excited about. And we're going to announce that right now. As I said before, I just got back from Chicago, got to go to the National Sports Collectors Convention, which was an awesome time. Got to meet a lot of really cool people, got to spread the brand a little bit, got to know some of the other people's brands as well, which was really cool to see a lot of you guys starting to get into the soccer community. So with that in mind, I met a bunch of people who didn't know about Sorare, were interested in soccer collecting, but didn't really know where to begin, didn't really know how to get into it. So what we're going to do here on the channel, I am going to actually start a challenge, a 2021 Sorare challenge. So at the beginning, I'm going to get $500 together, which is a normal average budget, I think, across Sorare. It's pretty standard to start with about 500. I'm going to get my own starting budget over again, and I'm essentially going to start over my account. Now, I'm not going to actually start over my account. This is all just going to be kept track of on a spreadsheet, but I will use real scores. I will use real data, so everything will be legitimate. I will be actually researching players. I will actually be finding different players that I want to add to the team, that I want to sell to the team, and I'm going to take you guys through the logic behind all of my decisions so that you can kind of see how I would do things if I were just getting started. Like I said, I've been doing this for a little while, so I have made a lot of the mistakes that I see a lot of new people make, so I'll kind of try to steer you away from a little bit of those. And then you'll also get to see, as I kind of grow the account, you'll get to kind of see how I make some of the bigger decisions that I'm actually making with my account right now, as far as when to invest more, when to pull out, when to go up divisions, when to go down divisions, but we'll kind of get to that as the Sorare Challenge account actually grows. So we're going to start with, like I said, $500. I actually laid out a few ground rules here, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys that here. So here are the ground rules. So like I said, we're going to start with a budget of $500 US. Now the intention here is to do the Sorare Challenge for 1 year. Okay, so I'm going to do it for 1 year. At the end of that year, so I started yesterday, August 1st, 2021. So on August 1st, 2022, the intention is to pull the $500 that I started with out and see how big the account's gotten, how much I've grown, basically, essentially what kind of profit that I've made after a year. So I'll have a starting budget of $500 US. I will only be allowed to use money that I have in the budget. So in order to buy a new player, I will have to sell somebody else, or have prizes or other things like that on hand. Now, with a $500 budget, it's going to be tough to get a goalkeeper right away. I'm going to say, just to keep things a little bit easier to score, that a common goalkeeper is going to get me a 25 score. So anytime I'm in a Division 4, I'm allowed to use a common goalkeeper. That's just going to be a flat average 25 score. The way that I came up with that is I went and looked at all of the goalkeepers that have started at least, I think, 12 or 13 games, and I just kind of looked at the middle one. The middle one was averaging somewhere in the high 40s, I think. And so I took what would essentially amount to the bonus that I would get taken off if I actually had a common goalkeeper starting in Division 4, which is about half. So it works out to about 25 points. So instead of me selecting goalkeepers and then using their scores, that can get a little dicey because you don't really get to select your own goalkeeper when you do the draft. So I'm just going to use a common goalkeeper score of 25 anytime I don't have a goalkeeper and I'm in a Division 4 competition. Next up, I can enter multiple competitions in 1 week, provided that I have enough players. So If I do grow the account to say 15 players and I want to enter 2 tournaments, perfectly fine, perfectly legal to do. I will just, have to have enough players, and if I enter a Division 3 tournament, same rules would apply that would apply in actual Sorare. Can't use that common goalkeeper. I have to go and buy at least a rare goalkeeper. Now, for purchase price, I'm going to use 95% of the best offer price. That's probably a little bit high. Generally, the last purchase or the best offer price is a little bit higher than what the actual sale would be. So that 95% gives me a little bit closer to what that actual sale might be. Plus, in Sorare, you would be able to negotiate the price down a little bit. So I think that's a pretty fair assessment, if not a little bit high. I'm always going to try to make the rules a little bit harder on me than it would be on you to actually get started with your account. So I'll be using 95% of the best offer price. So that's the lowest that somebody's willing to sell it for right now. We'll be using 95% of that. If I do decide to sell a card, it'll be whatever the last accepted sale price was. So it won't be the offer price, because a lot of times the offer price will be a lot higher than what the actual card would go for. It'll be the last sale price would be the price that I lock in as my quote-unquote sold price. Lastly, we'll be posting the lineups on either Twitter, TikTok. They'll also be in the lineup entry pad or entry tab here. So this is actually going to be open to everybody. If you guys want to join in and do this with me, you're more than welcome to. This sheet that I made here is going to be accessible to anyone. Anyone can edit this lineup entry tab down here, which I will get to in a minute. I'm going to post the link to the sheet in the description of the YouTube video. So if you'd like to compete in the challenge with me, just message me on Twitter, on Discord, wherever you want to message me. Let me know that you're interested in doing it. Send over some lineups for whatever game week you want to enter. The same rules would apply. Even if you have an account, you're more than welcome to play as well, but you still have to follow the same rules. You can use players that are no more than $500. All the same rules would apply here. So one last thing I forgot to mention, just a side note, all the players are going to be getting a 5% bonus. So instead of doing XP, leveling up players, wondering if we got last year's players or this year's players or where our bonuses are lying, it's just going to be flat, just 5% across the board, just purely to make things a little bit easier on me. It does make a difference, but not a huge difference week to week. If you get really, really close, we'll have to kind of evaluate how the bonuses would play out at that point. Cool. So it's going to be open to everybody. So if you would like to enter, please feel free to hit the link in the description. But I'm just going to go ahead. So those are the basic rules here. Nothing too crazy. It's just meant to kind of be realistic and give you kind of a starting point. This is what you would get as a starting Sorare player. I'm going to basically backtrack and go back through when I was first starting out, try to see if I can do it a little bit better than I did it coming out originally. So I'm going to show you the players now that I have decided to start my team with. So you can see we had the starting budget $500 at the time. Yesterday I think it was 0.194. It was our starting budget in ETH. I'm going to try to keep track of everything in ETH and in dollars for you guys, because they do change. So while you might be making a profit in ETH, you might be losing in dollars and vice versa. This is just going to be for transparency. I'm going to keep track of both just so that you can see exactly what is going on with the account. So first up, we're going to go with Tanner Beeson, who's a defender from San Jose. Really like the price. He started the last 4 or 5 games, I think. He was a really high draft pick last year. Obviously, COVID shortened year, didn't really get a chance to establish himself, but really highly respected coming out of Stanford. I think he went 4th or 5th overall, maybe, which he might have even been the pick above DK, which should tell you something about the talent in the MLS draft. So we're going to pick him up at 0.018. This is the best price here, you can see. So then this is what my cost would be, quote unquote, if I were to pick him up 0.018. I think you could probably get them for lower than that, to be honest. If you offered somebody like 0.016, they would probably take it. But in this case, we're just going to go with 0.018, which is 45.90. Next up is Leandro Gonzalez Perez, former Atlanta defender, really solid player. Does have an issue with red cards at times, so he may be getting suspended throughout. So you kind of have to keep an eye on him, but he's a very cheap, and he does put up good numbers. So I definitely like what I see from him. With the defenders, I'm trying to keep things as low as humanly possible because there's a ton of defenders out there. I know I'm going to get a decent score from my defenders. I'm just trying not to burn all of my ETH on the defensive position. So we're going to pick him up at 0.024, which is $61.20. Next is Russ Canals. Now, Russ plays for DC United, which is my team. I know him very well. He's the starter, period, at defensive mid for this team when healthy. He's had a very injury-riddled season, has not been healthy at all year. Should be coming back hopefully in the next week or two from what I'm hearing. And this price is way too low for a guy that is going to be one of the stars of the team here, or at least that's what we're kind of counting on. 0.029 is a really good price for him. I'm going to pick him up. It's actually going to technically be 0.028 for $71.40. Next up, forward from Orlando. They did pay a lot to get him, so he's been kind of working his way into the lineup, and the last few games he's really gotten his chance. Chris Muller obviously moving on from Orlando City, so that forward position depth, which has been a real issue because they have so many forwards that they can just cycle in and out. Gets a little bit weaker, so a little bit more chance for Vanderwater to go. 0.063. I want to spend on one forward when I'm first starting out on Sorare. You're not really going to find a forward who can be effective for anything less than 0.04. I could have gone with a Yu Kubo, who I have on my personal team. I could have gone with a Fabian Heberes, who I have on my personal team, but decided to switch it up a little bit and try to get a few more points out of the forward position. Those guys are only going to average about 40. From what I can see, Vanderwater is going to be a little bit higher, maybe the mid-40s, even touching 50 at times. So we're going to go forward a little bit with the forward position. Next up, two more mids. Edison Flores, also for DC United, also coming back from injury. He's an attacking mid, so he has the game-breaking potential that maybe further down the line we're going to use to enter either like a Champion America D4 or maybe even Global All-Star D3 type of a competition. He's not going to be quite as consistent as a Russ Canals or a Diego Chara will, but he gives us that huge upside to where he can score a goal, assist a goal any given week, and he can be very productive in that sense. 0.037, really good price for him as well. We're going to actually end up snagging him at 0.035 for $89.25. Finally, Diego Chara in Portland. Only reason he's so cheap is because he is older. He's 35 years old. In this particular scenario, I don't much care that he's 35. Even if this ends up being his last year, I'm still going to get another, I think they have 18 games or so left. I'm perfectly fine to pick up 18 games. I'm pretty sure that I can resell him with 5 or 10 games to go for about this much anyway. I'm going to get really good production. I'm hoping to get mid-50s type of production out of Diego Chara. I'm going to get really good production over the next 2 months of the season, and then maybe look to resell him to move him. Also, there's a pretty good chance that Canals and Flores don't play on the first game week, so I need a midfielder that will play this game week. So Diego Chara actually ends up making the team. So I'm going to get 6 guys. Obviously no goalkeepers here. I'm going to use a common goalkeeper to start. Hopefully we'll build up a little bit of momentum, and we'll see about getting a normal goalkeeper. But for now, it's going to be commons all the way. So just to finish up here, I'll show you the lineup entry here. Now this is the tab you guys can actually edit if you'd like to play in the competition. You just put your name here, and each line is going to be like one lineup that you're entering. You put your name here, which game week it is, which competition you want to enter, and then you put your goalkeeper here, your defender here, your midfielder here, your forward here, and whatever your extra player is here. You put your captain. Just make sure that you copy and paste the captain, because it is like cap specific and everything for all this stuff over here. That's going to be it for the video today. I'm actually going to be launching a TikTok, which is going to be pretty exciting. I know a couple of you have been talking to me about TikTok and trying to get me on there. I am now finally on there. It is MLS Cards with an S, guy. So I will be posting different shorter videos that kind of go into if I'm looking at a player, like if I break down a player, I might just post a random breakdown video. I'm also going to be showing like how I'm going through and finding the players that I'm going through. So I'm actually going to go over to TikTok now, post a video about how I selected the first 6 players for my 2021 Sorare challenge. So definitely take a look at that. Again, that's MLS Cards with an S. Not .com. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's late here. So that's gonna be it. I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me after the move. Hopefully I'm going to be able to get a little bit more content out now as we move forward. But until the next time, Vamos United.